Is the Chris Heasley Show.
Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show, and we're in a very critical time in the state of Texas. It is an incredible, amazing time in the state of Texas where for the longest time, the Republicans held the countryside and the Democrats held the city centers. And they were well entrenched in those city centers, and they were beginning to move into the attached suburban communities, which would have given them a huge position to take the state. And of course, when the state goes, the country is gone. But we're in a transitional time where I see a new breath of life in the Republican Party. And now there is a concerted effort where the Republicans are making a legitimate effort to attempt to take back our city centers. This is huge. These are big times. The Democrats, the way I see it, they are a wounded animal, but they are still very entrenched, and they have a work ethic that is unmatched. And they seem to be Teflon. They always survive to fight another day. But again, we're going to see a momentous effort on the part of the Republicans to take our city centers in the state of Texas. Get the popcorn out. This year is going to be epic. And we have someone here on the show tonight that is very qualified to talk about it. We have Abraham George, the chair of the statewide Republican Party, on the show tonight. Abraham, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Chris. Thank you for having me. This is going to be awesome.
Awesome, man. So my first question for you is, how do you see the state of Texas? You just heard my observation, but give it to me from your perspectives as the chairman of the statewide Republican Party.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, there was a time that Democrats held all of our major metro areas, like they still do, Harris County, Travis County, Dallas County, and they kind of started to sweep into like Holland and Fort Bend and, some of the counties around the major metro area. And then we saw that, and we've been working on it for a few years. But one great thing that happened in 2024 cycle is if you look at the border area, and there's 14 border counties, and out of the 14 border counties, we were able to flip 12 of those counties red. Those are the Democrat counties for a long time. One of the counties haven't elected a elected a Republican in more than 100 years. So what we did is we went and focused on something. We spent a lot of money doing it, and we had a lot of people come in and help us, volunteer work. And we knocked on 100,000 doors, paid door knockers, went to 100,000 doors and talked to people. It took a lot of employees to do that, and a lot of them. But here's the thing: when we actually conversation and explained it to the people and said, "Hey, this is what we are really about. Our party is about limited government. Our party is about closing our border and stopping this radical, crazy people from entering our country, and stopping these Democrats from essentially transitioning your children without your permission." And when we actually had the basic conversation with people, they voted for Republicans. So we can do that. We know we can do that. It's just going to take a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of people to come together and stop fighting within each other and actually figure out how do we take on some of these cities. And this year, our target is Harris County.
What you just did is you gave a description of I would say it was our Latino community, because the border counties are largely Latino, and they have been ravaged by all of the terror on the border. They've seen an assault on their family with the sexualized agenda that the Democrats have on our Texas children. And of course, the Latinos are very pious, Catholic, Christian, largely, and family oriented. And I think that right there is, and they've been dedicated Democrats for our lifetime, Abraham. That is a momentous change. That is quite a statement. And that in my opinion, shows possible reverberations throughout the entire state.
Oh, 100%. So, Tarrant County is another county. Tarrant County went for Biden. in 2020. In 2024, we flipped it back, President Trump. And it's very simple to do. It's just a lot of work. It's not hard to do. Every time that some Republican says, yeah, that county's gone or the city's gone, I'm like, you're just lazy. We just need to get out and do the work. And, you know, it always, when Republicans say, go do the work, we always say, well, we have a bunch of volunteers to do it. Yes, 100%, get them on board. We do need the volunteers. We are the volunteer organization, but we also need to raise money to go get a bunch of people hired so they can go knock on doors. And they're trained to do that, and they're good with the messaging. They're not going to get tired by noon. They're paid, so they're going to go all the way to the end of the day. So, along with TV ads, along with newspaper ads, along with everything else we have to do, if we actually do the work, we can turn Harris County red.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the word finance twice now, I believe. And one thing that we know is that the Democrats' war chest is unmatched. I mean, the one thing they know how to do, they know how to pull money out of the pockets of people. And so my question is, what is the state of our Republican Party and including our finances?
Yeah, so during the election cycle in 24, our main goal was like, well, let's go get South Texas back. And the original target was 5 counties. And Trump team came in and they said, well, we think we can do 6. So we basically just looked at the numbers, and but the great thing about Texas is there's plenty of big donors who is available to us. We just need to put together a really good business plan and tell them, if we go do all of these things and this is the path to victory, can you fund it? A lot of them will say, yeah, I'll fund 20% of that. Well, I'll fund 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50% of that. And that's what we did. We went to a lot of these people and said, hey, you don't want to have a Democrat judge in South Texas. Some of them may have businesses there. Some of them may have family who lives there. And they just don't want a Democrat judge. And so we'll say, all right, well, we're going to go work on some judicial races. We would love to have your support on this. And that's what we did. And we raised about since the day I got elected, we've raised over $15 million in the party's apparatus.
That's 15.5, correct?
1.5, yeah, $1.5 million in the party apparatus. Our regular day operations, the rent and the basic employment of few people, it's only $100,000. With $100,000, party bullet says party can work. We will file our bill, file our primary filings, and get people into the ballot and all that. So those are like regular stuff, basic stuff. We just need to raise money for. Not everybody's excited to give so we can pay the rent. That's not an exciting cost. Like I talked to some of the big donors and like, hey, I need $100,000 a month to do this. Would you be able to help with $50,000 for a couple of months? And they're like, yeah, I don't care about that. You come up with a real plan for flipping one of these seats or something, and I'll give you money for that. So we have multiple levels of donors. We have some donors that we call the backstop donors. Like, if I end up with, I only have $70,000 in the account, I need another $40,000 to pay the bills, I'll just call them and they will donate, because they know the party's apparatus is extremely important to have to do all the other stuff that we do. So we're doing really well. Our convention is happening next week, and it's about a $3 million project essentially, and we're gonna raise all the money in the world to do it. So it's not hard to raise money. It's just you have to raise it for the right reasons and the right project.
And how does that $15 million stand to what the Democrats have in their war chest?
Right,
I'm sorry, what's that? Could you repeat, please? Okay, guys, we're going to take a second here, and we're going to talk about our feature. Go ahead. Abraham, hold on 1 second there. Well, are you back on the line there?
I'm here.
Okay, what I asked is I asked, how does that number, 15 million, compare to what the Democrats have in their war chest?
Yeah, so the Democrat Party itself is actually in debt. They don't have a lot of money. I think I was told they raised about a little over 5.5, almost $6 million in the cycle in 24. And that is a lot. That is then to candidates like Colin Albright and all of that. So comparatively, we raise a lot more money as a party. Their whole deal is George Soros funds a bunch of these things through his PAC. That's where we see like $200 million coming into Texas. We hear that, and it's not coming through the Democrat Party. It's going to one of his PACs. And I don't know, man. If the USAID is shutting down, I don't think George Soros is going to fund a lot of things. I think that was our money going into through Ukraine and all of the other places and coming back to the Democrat Party as their donations, and they're spending it on us. I don't know. I mean, I've been told that by many people that I know are credible people, but we just don't know. But now USAID is pretty much done. We'll see how their funding is going to be.
So that's interesting. You see a potential chink in the armor of the Democrat Party with regard to their phenomenal, they've always had this phenomenal ability to raise money, and you're saying that there might be an issue there with them being able to do that. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a second here. I want to talk about our featured product. Our featured product is the X39 patch, the Lifewave X39 patch, the most phenomenal medical technology ever introduced to mankind. This patch is incredible. I have it right here, right there. I have it right there. There it is. And what it is photolight therapy that it's photolight therapy that essentially it's not transdermal. It doesn't put any lotion or salve into your body. It simply projects light into your body, and it restores youth, health, and wellness in ways that are unimaginable. It's the X39 patch, and what I'd like you to do is go on Facebook and just go there, type in X39 and then any condition, X39 and lower back pain or whatever, and look at what people are saying about this patch. It is the X39 patch, an incredible, phenomenal technology. It helps with restoring energy and restoring color in your skin and helps with things like lower back pain and those sorts of things. It really helps to restore youth and vitality. It is the X39 patch. And to learn more about that, call or text 330-606-2304 or inbox me on Facebook. I'll be happy to get you set up. Are we back? Is Abraham George back?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, man. Glad to have you back. Thought we lost you. I'll have to do another X39 advertisement if I lose you again. So the audience will have to suffer through that. But okay, so what I just simply asked you to just sort of like say one more time. Basically, you're saying that the people are saying that there's a potential that the Democrats have lost their incredible ability to raise money, that might have an issue right now.
Yeah, there is a lot of talk in DC circles that the Democrats are not going to be able to raise the kind of money they have done in the past in this cycle for multiple reasons. One is the USAID. Like there is this, open conversations about they were skimming from that and turning that into their contributions to get their people elected. And that's kind of done with Marco Rubio being on top of that and just, thank God for Doge and all of that. So the next issue is the Democrats are not all that excited about their party anymore. They're excited about their candidates at this point. So they will see, like James Talarico is going to raise a lot of money because he says things that even some of the independents are confused about. He says God is binary. Nobody should be questioning any open border policies because the Bible said so, things like that. He will twist the facts and biblical principles so he can get elected. That's what he is. So I can see he's raising a lot of money, but the Democrat Party probably going to have a very hard time raising any money because they don't have the apparatus to do it. They're not an exciting entity anymore compared to Trump entity or Republican Party of Texas, or people who are like, you look at our cabinet, J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, and all those guys. It's just an exciting time for Republicans.
That is quite an interesting development. I want to talk more about that James Tallarico, Ken Paxton race. But before that, let's just talk about you're in a competitive re-election campaign right now for the Republican Party state chair position. Tell me about your time, your tenure in that seat, what you were able to accomplish, what your greatest challenges were, and how you see your time served in that capacity.
Well, Chris, when I came in, remember, it was the time of Joe Biden. So Joe Biden was the president when I walked in, and our main goal was to get President Trump elected. That was it. People came up to me and they asked at the convention, are you going to be able to do that? And my answer was like, I can promise you, I will get President Trump elected in Texas. That I can promise you. We will do everything we can. So that was the main thing. The issue we had was not the president. The issue was about Ted Cruz. He was running against Colin Albright. Colin Albright was challenging him. And, the previous cycle, Senator Cruz he got elected, but it was just small margin between him and Beto O'Rourke. So our main focus turned into Trump have to get elected by at least 9 points. That way, Cruz will get elected by about 5 points. That means we are not going to lose all of our lower ballot candidates. What happens is, top of the ticket, a lot of people will show up. The second guy will get a little bit less people. Then, as you move to multiple pages of ballots, you're looking at people just saying, I don't know any of these people. I'm just going to go home. They will skip those elections, and that's what happened. So this is consistent throughout for both Republicans and Democrats, and we've seen this over and over again. So every time we do things, we calculate that extra cushion on the top. So we can say all of our judges will get elected, all of our county commissioners are elected. All of those things have to be kind of matched to the top of the ticket, even though the top of the ticket have nothing to do with the county commissioner. So it kind of comes together. So my goal was to do that, and we did very well. The Republican Party did very well. We not only elected President Trump at a 14-point victory, which we haven't had that in a couple of decades. Then we elected Ted Cruz at a good margin. We flipped 12 counties. Then we went on to, flip one state Senate seat, Adam and Jose's seat. We flipped that from Democrat to Republican last cycle. We flipped 2 Texas House seats. We were 86 members. Now in the last session, we had 88 members. So it was a lot of work. Then we go on to look at, okay, all right, that's great. You got a bunch of Republicans elected. What does that mean? Well, that means in the 89 session, which is the legislative session that happens at the Capitol from January to May, we had multiple special sessions after that. But in the 88th session, we had Speaker Dave Phelan, and under his leadership, we had 6 bills passed. Priority bills, only 6 bills. He killed everything he could think of, and 6 bills kind of worked its way out. In the 89th session, we were able to pass 47 bills. It was a day and night difference, right? I mean, it was huge. Then we looked at, okay, the speaker and I, we still don't have a really good relationship because there was some issues, and we can talk about that. One major issue was him. He got a lot more support from the Democrats.
Real quick, which speaker you're referring to the current speaker, Dustin Burrows, right?
Dustin Burrows, mm-hmm. Yes. So in the beginning of the session, me and him, we were not on the same page. In fact, I campaigned against him. We spent TV ads, money on TV ads in his district, about $50,000 against him. So it wasn't like we were all happy at the beginning of the session. And I said, like, hey, why is this guy getting elected by Democrats? He's going to be beholden to Democrats. We're not going to get anything done. This is not the way to do it, right? So we went on to have all of those. But once one major thing happened in the 24th cycle, is not only we got President Trump elected at 14 points, we replaced a lot of moderate Republicans in Texas House. They lost their primary election. We got a bunch of them elected, and then November, and which means the conservatives, there's about 30 conservatives in Texas House today, and they held the feet of the speaker to the fire, and they made these 47 bills happen. And with the grassroots support, county chairs, precinct chairs, volunteers who showed up to the Capitol and actually testifying on bills and telling them they want this bill passed, it actually happened. 47 bills, it's never happened before. In the history of the state of Texas, we never had 47 bills come out of on our side in a single session. So it was a great session. Then we added 5 new congressional districts. We redraw the map and added all those things. So you look at some of these, the chairmanship or the party's tenure as, okay, what have you done for us, right? I mean, that's basically why you're elected. You got to look at, okay, what did you do for us? How much money did you raise? What were the results of the money that raised? And in my opinion, we've done a reasonably decent job. I mean, can this be a lot better? Oh, 100%. Would I be happy to get another 20 more bills passed? Yes, 100%. Why wouldn't I? Can we have raised more money? Yes. So all of that is, it's never going to be a perfect session. It's never going to be a perfect fundraising cycle. But one of the things that I can promise you is we did a lot better than the previous cycles, and that is because we brought everyone to the table and said, we're going to do this. And our differences are there, but at the end of the day, all of us have to understand this is about Republicans versus Democrats, not about Republican versus Republican and all that stuff, which we do need to do a lot, especially during primary elections, which we did. But once everything is over, it's like, let's get these radical Democrats out.
Yeah, if you look at Harris County just 10 years ago, the Republican Party could have just been written off. It never put together, in my opinion, from what I saw as an outsider. I wasn't involved like I am now, but it appeared to me that it was never it was never a party that, a serious player. And but now again, I see a new sense of life in the Harris County Republican Party. I still consider it the underdog against the Democrats, but the men who are stepping up for these positions are men that are ready to get the job done. They're not opportunists. They are coming because our city's in a desperate state, and they truly want to fix this sinking ship. Let's talk about Greg Abbott, and he has made it an item on his personal agenda to take back Harris County. He's dedicating resources, funds to it, his own time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Governor has made it very open that he is going to spend about $20 million, maybe even more, in Harris County alone to flip Harris County red. And I think the messaging is perfect, that he says, well, I'm here to talk about the crime in your city, in your county. Are you able to walk around freely without getting in trouble? Well, the answer in Houston is not. I mean, I was in Houston a few days ago, and I was staying in a really nice hotel, and I walked out around 10:30. I was hungry, and I'm like, hey, none of the restaurants were open. And I asked the bellman, and he's like, well, you're going to have to do Uber Eats mainly because the restaurants, after so many hours, they don't want to stay open because of all the homelessness and the crime. Houston is a nice city. We don't have to have that. We shouldn't have to deal with that. So Governor Abbott is going to talk about crime, but he's going to talk about property tax. I think that's going to be a huge issue for almost any Texan. You don't have to be a Republican. You can be a regular person who can be a Democrat and say, well, I don't want to get mugged when I go to somewhere. I don't want to have to pay all of these property tax. So I think it's going to be a great cycle for us. We just need to do it right. And I'm excited for Harris County to see some change.
We have a pivotal election in Harris County between Orlando Sanchez, who is the Republican, versus Letitia Plummer, who's the Democrat. I don't know much about her. She wasn't expected to win that primary. Anise Parker, former Houston mayor, was expected to win that primary, and she lost to Letitia Plummer. But Orlando Sanchez is a serious player, and he's no nonsense, and the man is professional to a T. I have huge amounts of confidence in him, but at the same time, this is a Democrat stronghold. Do you have any opinion on the Harris County judge race?
Yes, I do. So Orlando Sanchez is a really good candidate. I think with him on the top of the ticket, we have a real good chance of flipping that county. The county commissioner's court, we're not going to be able to flip because it takes a lot more work. But let's start with the county judge, because if we have a Republican county judge, we have, even if the county commissioners are against us, there is a lot of executive powers that comes with being a county judge. And if we take that and actually doing real work to keep Harris County safe and make it better, I promise you, we can flip that county commissioner court in the next cycle. That's the way to do it. We have to be strategic about all of this. You're right. Letitia was not supposed to win, but here's the thing. If you go back and look at my X account, about 4 weeks before the election, I said, Democrats are not going to elect that mayor. They're going to elect Letitia because that's their real candidate. And people are like, yeah, you don't know Harris County. I'm like, I don't know Harris County as much as you do because you live there. But I do understand politics. They want her. There's a reason why they were not getting behind him. And he is a little bit more reasonable. And Democrats cannot stand a reasonable candidate anymore. If you don't know this, Chris, if you haven't heard this, the Democrat state party chairman, after the 2024 election cycle, he reached out to NBC. Well, NBC probably reached out to him and had a conversation. In that interview, he said, they asked, like, why did you guys lose so bad? I mean, South Texas, that was your stronghold. Republicans came and took it. How'd you lose that? And I think he was just being honest. And he said, yeah, I think this whole transgender thing, I don't think regular Texans are buying that. They made him apologize for that one statement.
And what is his name? What is that person's name?
His last name was Hinojosa. He was a true progressive. He just sat there. He's not like a radical person, but he kind of did the deal with everyone. Here's the thing: they made him apologize the day after. Then 2 days later, he resigned because they were giving him hell. And he resigned. He walked away. He said, I'm up. So you cannot even say a reasonable statement in Democrat Party anymore. And so I knew they're not going to elect that mayor. They were going to go for Letitia.
We see the turmoil coming undone. I take, these groups, these leftist groups coming undone. We also see it in another group, which is in this epic defeat of John Cornyn. And John Cornyn was a serious player. But again, remember, he was largely considered to be rhino in the state of Texas. He got booed off the stage at the Republican Party convention because of his anti-Second Amendment rhetoric. And now he's gone down in a momentous defeat to Ken Paxton in that primary runoff. What does that say about the Republican Party?
Well, on the primary runoff, man, I have one thing to say, and that is conservatives, grassroots, we won. Ken Paxton, Bo French, there was a great group of people who won, and it was good. Ken Paxton, look at Ken Paxton for the last 15, 20 years. He took on the Bush Cheney group. He took on, the Dave Phelan group. He took on the George P. He went through the impeachment. He is being attacked by every version of the moderates there, and he comes out great. To a point that I was talking to a statewide elected official yesterday morning, and he said this, and he's one of our leaders, top guys, and he said, Abraham, Ken Paxton is the new leader of the Republican Party of Texas today. And he had endorsed, Ken endorsed me a couple days, 2-3 days ago. Well, the 2 days after his election, he came out and endorsed me. And he said, well, I'm with you because Ken endorsed you, and that matters to me. So, people are looking at it, and people are saying, we're done with this, I am a Republican, don't say anything bad about anybody kind of Republican. Republicans are now saying, yes, we will unite behind every Republican to go defeat a Democrat, but during primaries, we're picking our guy. We want our conservative guy to be the person to be the nominee. So that is happening in Texas, not just statewide, everywhere.
Abraham, I got one last question. I think that you've done an excellent job at summing up the state of Texas today. Got one last question. I'm going to let you go. These Soros district attorneys, in my opinion, there's two things going for them. I think number one, they're incredibly well funded. And number two, I think that there's an election integrity issue. I think that it is possible with our current systems, these machines, this electronic voting, I think it's possible to invert votes. And I think that these Soros DAs, there's so much under the cover there that they can't let be known. And if they lose that seat, what the incoming DA will see could be shocking and frightening. So the criminal network cannot allow the Soros DAs to lose those positions. And I think they're going to flip every lever with those voting machines to make sure that happens. I think they're going to spend every dollar to make sure that happens. Do you see any way we take out these Soros DAs like Jose Garza out of Austin, like Brian Middleton out of Fort Bend? Do you see any way we can unseat these men?
Yes. So there's two things going on for them. Like you said, one is corruption itself. Two is their funding from Soros. Soros will give them more money than they will give a gubernatorial candidate. Why is that? Because he understands the system is rigged at this county level, at the district level. That's where he needs judges to be on his side. He wants the judiciary on his side, because you can have all the law in the world. If your judiciary is not going to stand with you, you got a problem. So this is what we've got to do. One, we have to, and Governor's already talking about this. This is probably going to be a top priority for the Republican Party, that we should have a super DA position for the state of Texas, where we now have authority in Harris County to go and prosecute election fraud. Even if the DA in Harris County says, no, I'm not going to do it. We go in and we do it at the state level, find the criminals, including the DA's puppets that who's going to be doing this. Then we have a real system that we can hold them accountable to. The other thing we have to do is we have to find really good candidates who can take on these district attorneys. One of the things that, most of the lawyers who are really good are making a ton of money. It's hard to, come work be a DA and get $150,000 or $200,000. So we have to find the right people who can do it, competent people who is available to do it. And not only that, they take a lot of heat. Like if you're a good conservative DA, people are coming for you from left and the right, because nobody likes their corruption to be exposed. So they're all coming for you. So that's one of the problems we have. You have to understand that the Criminal Court of Appeals said that we cannot have, the Attorney General cannot prosecute election fraud. We have to replace a bunch of them. Now we are getting to a place that we will have a conservative CCA. We have to continue to remove these politicians who.
What is CCA? So, what is CCA?
Criminal Court of Appeals, which is basically the Supreme Court of Texas on the criminal side, right? The top court in the state of Texas was all Republican, not Democrats. Remember that, all Republicans. Some of the Republicans said the Attorney General does not have the right to prosecute election fraud. So we basically said, okay, you're out. We got to find somebody who's going to run against you. And we replaced 3 of them last time. We're replacing some more this time. So that's what we have to do. We just got to get these bad politicians out of office. And that's what the Republican Party is about. That's what the grassroots are about. And I'll stop with this. in my opinion, people might differ to this, the Iron Man of our era, the techie of the world is Elon Musk in our generation. When Elon Musk goes on X and tweet this, if we don't have paper ballots, we don't have secure elections. If he says that, I tend to believe him over a bunch of bureaucrats who has no idea how to turn on a Zoom link. So, so that's where I'm at, and we have to go to a secure election, and whatever it takes, we gotta get there.
Yeah, our elections are a joke. We just had a primary runoff in Fort Bend County, and they uploaded a jump drive in the middle of the election, or downloaded it. I don't know what they did, and it took down the whole system. Anyone who sees that and think they're and then when we say that's fraud, they tell us that we are paranoid. But to me, it's just a complete nonsense. Why are the authorities not absolutely intervening right now in Fort Bend County because of that jump drive, shutting the whole thing down and looking at that code? Because I think that an audit would survive, the corruption may survive an audit. Anyways, I've taken enough of your time. Abraham George, thank you again. An incredible update on the state of Texas. We appreciate it here in Harrison and Fort Bend County. And I look forward to the coming elections, and I look forward to meeting you in person and seeing how these things go down.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me today.
Have a great night. And this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. We will be back on next week with one more hot topic. Have a great week.